Hey everyone, this is Eric from Seven Circle Hobbies, and in this episode I'm going to tackle airbrushing. In this video I'm going to cover why airbrushing, your required and recommended gear, how to get started, and cleaning up. Like a good professor, after some extensive research, I finally decided on the airbrush that I would pick. If you're completely new to airbrushing like me, I highly suggest watching Miniac's and Squidmar's videos on different brands of airbrushing getting started. Ultimately, I went with the Badger Patriot 105. For my entire 20 years in the hobby, I've painted every single figure by hand, and while I'm proud of what I've done, as I've gotten older, started a family, career, hobby time is precious and every minute counts. So other than an airbrush, you're going to need a compressor. You're going to want to get one that's relatively quiet. While all compressors pretty much do the same exact thing, you can get a pretty decent one for about 80 bucks American. You also need a pretty good airbrush cleaner. I have this Medea, as well as some airbrush thinner if you don't have the money to invest in some good airbrush ready paints. I recommend you pick up a spray pot. These things are great to help clean out your airbrush and contain any liquids while you're cleaning the airbrush out. Also an airbrush holder will be useful while you're moving models around or repositioning them. And finally, if you're in a position to indulge yourself, I'd highly recommend getting yourself some Vallejo Game Air paints. You don't have to buy a whole collection like I was able to, but get the basic starter set so you could lay down some base coats for your armies. Again, I really can't say enough good things about these paints. They're really fantastic. Only used a handful of them so far, but if you're like me and your hobby time is precious and you don't want to spend it thinning down your paints, pick up some of these. You won't regret it. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I just put some gory red right into the pot, and I'm spraying it straight onto a gray primer. If I had thought about it more, I would have glued everything down first. I thought I was going to have to get in here with a hand brush eventually, so that's why I didn't put everything in place, but I think I'm going to rethink that on future models. Now I'm not going to run the whole video of me painting this vehicle. That's a different tutorial for a different time, but I just want you to see here how quickly I can lay down a nice even base coat on a pretty large vehicle in almost no time at all. And if I were doing this by hand, it would take me a long time and it still wouldn't look as smooth or good. So I really appreciate the airbrush's capabilities and what it can do for laying down base layers fast and nicely. If you're enjoying the content of this video, please subscribe, give me a like, and let me know in the comments if you still have any questions that I haven't covered when the video is over. Alright, to get cleaned up, you're going to want some water in a squirt bottle, your airbrush cleaner, and a lot of cotton buds. I start by irrigating the main cup out with some water, then I move to airbrush cleaner. That'll squirt into the receptacle bottle here to get it cleaned out, and then whatever's left over I'll use cotton beds to wipe out, as well as the front tip. Be careful to pull the trigger back so you don't jam up your needle. That'll be very important not to bend that. In this last part of the video, I already disassembled the back end piece and the screws, so I can show you how to clean the needle and troubleshoot some issues here. If you see that back piece, that is the one that holds the needle tight, so you can slide that all the way in. And be careful with the needle not to jam it or force it in if it's not sliding in smoothly. Loosen that nut that I'm just pointed to, and it should go all the way up to the front of your airbrush, and then we will put on the nozzle and the final piece, and you should have a fully cleaned and reassembled airbrush. It's not as intimidating as it might seem. Once you get the hang of it, it's actually pretty easy, and you should be good to go.